All right, chapter 3 is application and a networking-based attack. I'm going to share with you something very early that you will find applications attack probably a little bit difficult to understand. Why? It's one of those that need an understanding of some web application technology, such as the HTTP, such as the SQL database, such as Java, such as, and a little bit of programming. So, needless to tell you, you'll find it a little bit challenging, take a little time. However, you'll find networking-based attack more interesting to you because this is something that you do, something that you understand better. All right, and here is what this chapter is about. First, we will list and explain the different type of server-side web applications, right? Server-side application. Then we will talk about the fun client-side attack application. At this early age, what I want you to understand, I want you to remember the following picture, which is as coming. You have a server on one end, you have a client on the other end, you have the cloud or the internet between them, right? Cloud between them. What you need to understand, what this chapter is about, is how a client can use the internet and attack the server, and how a server can use the internet and attack the client. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about. Each one you use your computer, connect the internet, and access a server somewhere. Guess what? You definitely can attack that server, and that server can also attack you. All right, that's how we go. Here's what gets a little bit difficult. Explain how overflow attacks work. If you do have a little bit of programming, you may understand this. If you don't have it, I'm going to use analogies to really help you understand it. Finally, list different type of network-based attack. Different type of network-based attack. When I say application and a network, I'm not saying that the hacker, the attacker will say, today I'm going application, today I'm going to networking. No, they just do what they do. We go and see what they did and kind of categorize and divide it. They just do their work. Either find an exploit in an application or find an exploit in your server or in whatever you have. That's how they go about it. They don't set their goals. All right. Server-side web application. Needless to tell you that today everything we do is an internet-based. Everything you do is internet-based. And what's not internet-based or web-based, it's going to be web-based applications. So everything web applications. The content provider, when you use your browser, we connect to a server, right? And the browser takes the code from the server that the server feeds your browser and translate it into something that a human understands. As a matter of fact, I want to make this one very clear. Anytime you establish a connection with any web server, that server code are in your computer. If they're designed and your browser would interpret, would explain, will try to make sense out of those code. Without the browser, have you ever guys went to a website and looked at the source code? If you ever go to any website, right-click, go to source code, that's exactly what the server just gave your machine. But your machine, just like you, would not make sense out of it. Your machine would need a browser to make sense out of it. The question here, what if that server added some extra malicious code on that things, and I use my browser, and my browser will execute all those programs. You can get malicious, you can get viruses, you can get whatever. So now you understand it. Every time I want to repeat, and I'll move on. Anything that you see in a page in the web, it's running in your memory. It's in your computer. I always do this. So we talk about how the relation between a client and a server, right? And then move on to something else. Here's what I want you to remember. Here's the image that I want you to kind of remember. To your side, there's a client. To the left, the blue computer is a client. To the other side, in the cloud, there's a server right there. And what we use here, we use the internet. The cloud is the internet. And one of the protocol that we use all right, to establish connection with the client and the computer. It's HTTP, all right, HTTP. HTTP, your browser takes all those HTTP code and translate them into a language that you will understand, and you'll see the page. So that right there, I'll repeat one more time. At one point, we're going to talk about how the client, how the blue computer can attack the white server, and how can the white server attack the blue server using the same form, the same medium, the same communication method that we're talking about. All right. First, the first that you need to understand is the HTTP. Next, to tell you what you know, if you're not a programmer, I would speak from non-programming point of view about the HTTP. HTTP is a language, is a protocol language that they use to translate and convert, to translate and convert text into a different format. The user uses browser to translate the HTTP code into something that he or she will understand. And if you go deep inside the HTTP, it does a lot about the HTTP as a code. What's the code inside of it? And there's a lot of coding. As simple, go into any any website, right click, go to source code, and you see the source code, and you see the source code record. The first time, server may be connected to one or more web applications at the same time. A lot of times what happens, you users, you may be connected to one, you think you've been connected to one server. Right? But trust me, you are really connected a lot of times to more than one server at exactly the same time. You don't know. One way to know that, I'm not going to do this, one way to do this, if you go connect to a web server, go to your command line, and type netstat-ANO, and you're going to see dozens of IP addresses and port are open to tell you that you're not connected to one server, you're connected to multiple servers. What I want you to understand, it is possible to take the content from different servers and put them as a link in one server, hence hyperlink. That's what we call it, hyperlinks. The link, the truth, exists somewhere else. Right, so it is quite possible. Server may be connected to one or more web applications. Some example, another thing that I want to tell you here that you need to know, and is going to help us understand. Anytime you guys, when you establish a connection, you connect a server, and based on your request, that server will turn back and send a request to another server. For instance, let's pretend that you are online trying to buy something from Amazon. When you go to Amazon, you're surfing as a guest and you look at everything. You don't have to log in. You can surf and see what you want. The moment you choose a purchase or you want to buy something, you will be automatically you log in. You will ask to be logged in, and you'll automatically be shifted to another server. And the moment you decide to buy whatever you want to buy and you want to pay, you'll be shifted to another server. So that server that you interfaces with, that is public, that you see, is not really the server that shows you that you used to pay or that you used to do certain transactions. There are servers insecure. So think of that server that you see as a bridge. He does nothing but bridge you or connect you with the other servers that are in secure places. We don't allow the user to interact with them directly. Guess what? Those are the servers that hackers use. Those are the servers that the hacker wants. They want the ones that are hidden. And you're going to see now, watch this. You want to see how hackers will go to that server, the first server, change the code, and ask him very intelligent questions that will trigger something that will either force him or make him do things he's not supposed to do. For instance, think of this. When I think of this, I usually think of a restaurant. When you never interface with the cook, really. You don't know the cook. You don't go to the kitchen. A waiter or waitress will come and ask you, what do you want? You make your order. They're going to place it. You don't go to the kitchen. All right, you don't speak to the cook. Well, here's a way. Somebody may speak to manipulate the waiter or the waitress, and tell them, I want you to go to the cook and tell him to do this, enter this, enter this, and do that. This guy have just gave some codes that allow, that bypass, what do you call it, the waiter and the waitress, and they're going straight to the kitchen or the cook and do it. This is what, so a lot of times in the internet, what the hacker look for is not the server that serves the application. They want the cook and the kitchen. They want the recipe. They want the guy that is making everything. That's what they want, right? All right. All right, here's a relation that I want you to understand. Please watch this. The cook, the waiter, the waitress that I just explained to you, it is right there, right here. You can see the customers is sitting right there, all right, in a restaurant, right? He's sitting right there, ordering his table, not instead of his desk. He's ordering. He wants to order something. And in this case, Joe is right there, sitting right there. Happy Joe is sitting right there, using the internet, establish a connection with the web server that's laced up like a store showcase. Everybody can see. You don't have to log in, no special permission, nothing. It's right there. Anybody can access it. Now, as soon as you click and buy in something, then you'll be redirected. For instance, let's pretend that you're trying to find out if you're buying a computer on Amazon a part, and you want to see if that Amazon still have that part. As soon as you click on that and you try to buy it, that request, the web server will send a request to web application, which may send requests to databases and ask them, do we still have that computer part that this user is looking for? So you see how clients send requests to the web server uses web application that the user did not interfere with, it goes down to other servers and asks them other questions. A lot of times those servers are all the way down, are hidden, that we call SQL servers and database servers. I repeat, just like the cook, the user does not go to the kitchen, does not know it exists. But there is a way that hackers can manipulate the web servers and tell them, just go and ask, don't be afraid, just ask him. And the server will go and ask, what do you call it, the database server, go and trick him. And the database says, oh, no, I trust you, and turn something you're not supposed to turn. I'll give you a good example. Imagine you're trying to buy an airplane ticket, and you see the ticket, whoa, it's $700 to go to Florida. My friend told me he only paid $200. Why? Me, I have to pay. I wonder if there's any way to know how much other people before me pay for the tickets. And he start playing, then he start asking the web server, could you tell me how much Joe paid for his ticket? Server said, no, I can tell you. I cannot tell you that. Now, then he figured out how to trick the server, web server, into going to the application server and bring something that he was supposed to. Suddenly, the database is displayed, and he sees everybody that day that purchased that ticket, how much they paid. This is the kind of the attack that we're talking about, right? Imagine you go to bank, you're trying to access your bank account, right? The same things happen. Imagine one day you go bank, try to access your web application, you type something, suddenly every single customer, a bank account displayed in your account. Or somebody's account has been displayed with a lot of money, hopefully, right? So this is the kind of attack that we're talking. All right. So you're going to learn today, if you heard any attack today out there, I can guarantee you it's a web application-based attack. A lot of attack. For instance, the recent attack just this week, Blue Anthem, right? The Blue Anthem, the hack, it's another example of web application attack. Somebody figured out, found an exploit on vulnerabilities in a system, and then he went and asked certain questions, and somebody returned things you're not supposed to return. I will show you a demo and show you how easy it is. As a matter of fact, today, the most common web attacks are SQL injection, cross-site scripting, SQL injections, and cross-site. I will do a cross-site scripting. I will do a demo with using a fake website and show you how easy is it. It's just a single quote, single quote, single quote, or 1 = 1 dash space. That's a SQL injection. You take that, go to any computer that is asking you for your password, and type. If that machine, if that web server is vulnerable to SQL injection, all what you need, you go to the username and type single quote or 1 = 1 dash space and enter. You'll be surprised what's going to happen. If it is not patched, you will see, you'll be logged in, hopefully as an administrator. I will do a demo and I'll show you that. And guess what? If you go to Google right now, and look for secret injection cheat sheet. They are in abundance. You don't even need to know what they mean. Copy and paste. That's all what you need. All right. All right. Now, next type of attack. There are more attack coming. You guys ever heard about something called zero-day attacks? Zero-day attack for web servers and for servers in general. It's a day when there's nothing that a networking administrator or the company can do to save their babies. That's it. Zero-day attack. It's a vulnerability on an exploit base. It means that somebody figured out that you backdoor to your house. You always keep it open. He knows that. He watched you. He knows you do it all the time. And the day he decides to come and get to your house, that is called zero-day attack. There's nothing that your front door can do to stop it because he knows the back door is open and he's going to use it to get into your system. That is an example of zero-day attack. Anonymous as a group used to announce this every now and then. They'll say, certain company tomorrow will suffer or will experience a zero-day attack. And what they have to do? Nothing, just watch. Because they don't know what's coming until it hits them. And there's nothing they can do, by the way. The only thing they can do is disconnect from the internet. Well, you can do that. You have Yahoo, Google, or Amazon, or Bank. You can disconnect from the internet. Right? It's almost like you are a business and you can close all your doors. Walmart closed his door because somebody said, I'm going to come and hack you. You can do that. Right? All right. The three most common attacks that I want you, there are a lot of them, but I want you to focus on some of them. One is a cross-site scripting. I am going to do a demo, and I'm going to show you. Secret injection. I am going to do a demo. I'm going to show you in the second part. And command injection. And you will be, by the way. My favorite tool, my favorite things is this third one. The third one is command injection, directory traversal. A lot of times when you go to a website, right? When you visit a website, you see how they have ///. You should find yourself in a certain place. That's it. This page, that's it. There are other pages that are not for you and you're not supposed to access them. A lot of times, all what I do, have you seen that URL, long URL, dash? I just started moving dash and backward. I just start moving back, and I find myself in a place that you're not supposed to be in. And find a file. As simple as that. No tools, no hacking, nothing. Just keep booking back, till you get to the point. I'm not supposed to see this. I'm going to do a demo, right? And I'll also show you how simple. That is my favorite. The directory traversal is like this. Going back to the restaurant again. The customer is supposed to be in their table and asking the waiter for whatever they need to do. They're not supposed to stand up and go to the kitchen, and from the kitchen, talk to the cook, and from the cook, go to the fridge. That's called traversal. That's it. If you go that far in the server, you are traversing. You are going deep inside. Traversal sometimes can even allow you access the command line. So if you can copy and paste the code that would get you command line, guess what? Then you are in control. Right. You're in control of that machines. Right? I am going to show you those three when we get there. Now, cross-site scripting. You can do they do a crazy, amazing attack to it. They can do anything they want. And by the way, they can use cross-site scripting attack and steal cookies. Right? Then use still your cookie, the user that is connected cookies. Right? Once they steal the cookie, they'll disconnect the end user and they connect back with those cookies. And guess what? I know of a case, for instance, when people logged in to order very expensive sneakers or books, then somebody discovered that server that sells sneakers is not secure. Anybody can do a cross-site scripting. Then what they did, they upload their code to the server. How they upload them? Have you seen when you go to how every single company, every single website has a feedback? Leave the feedback. I'm going to show you. Then go to feedback, copy and paste the code, and that's the upload the code right there. Right? Once they upload it, next thing, as soon as somebody connect and establish connection, the script will automatically copy that user's sessions and cookies, send it to the attackers, and the attacker is waiting. Wait till you place the order, till you pay and place the order, and he will reconnect as you. And the only thing he's going to do, change the address. Change the address. Then whatever you order will go to him. Right? Good. Here is a nice. Don't do this. This is something that one of my students once did. What he did, he's very smart, and he only has he had like $60 to buy. He wanted an external hard drive so bad, but he only has $60. It happened to be that the hard drive he wants, right? The hard drive he wants, Walmart has it for $100. No, Best Buy had it for $100. Right? Walmart has it for like $90. And he learned that Best Buy has that policy, we match anyone prices. Right, you got it? He went to the server, edited the HTML code of the server, of Walmart server, changed the price to $60, then it displayed the $60, took a screenshot or print out that, one to Best Buy and show them that. You guys say you matched, right? I need this hard drive, and you guys, he took the hard drive because he showed them print out that said $60. Yeah. Now, that guy, he did not change the page forever. It's just for the time that he can do whatever he needs to. This is to show you what the end user can do to control and change things that they're not supposed to do. All right, there is a really cross-site script, and by the way, it's #1 attack right now till today. This we could not figure out a way around it. And the funny thing, there are some simple way to find if a machine is vulnerable, and there's a server, some program I'm going to share with you that will automate the entire process. One of my favorite is called Burp Suite. Burp Suite. Burp Suite, by the way, don't go too far, just hold down, Burp Suite, you're already there. Burp Suite, it's built in Backtrack, it's already in Cali, you don't have to you can download it if you want. Guess what? It scans a website, find if it is vulnerable, and if it's vulnerable, it can inject it. That's how simple stuff, right? I repeat, web application attack, very complicated, lot of stuff, but people have automated a lot of process because it's complexity. I'm almost positive a hacker that has no understanding of, that does not understand web programming, web application programming, he can hack the best service out there by using one of those tools. Another one that is my favorite, here we're going again, it's called Beef. Beef is also built in what you call it in Cali. I am going to show you Burp Suite. I'm going to show you where it comes. Please, I'm showing you this for testing, not for hacking. Remember, you do that, you'll be in deep trouble because you don't know what they record about you, you don't know what they log about you, you don't know what they really know about you. All right, so there are a lot of group citing, and I gave you a couple, couple ideas and ways how it does it happen. SQL injection, I mentioned it. You guys probably don't know what SQL is. SQL is a database. It's SQL query language. It's not a programming language. It's just structured language. It's a way of querying and asking very giant database to retrieve something for you. Retrieve this from me. Retrieve that from me. Well, it happened to be every single major, we call it e-commerce store has its own SQL database. Either Microsoft SQL or MySQL open source, or the giant that you all know about, which is Oracle. Oracle is another company. Guess what? And we have dozens, if not 100, very simple ways to find out if a machine is vulnerable, if a web server is vulnerable to SQL injection or no. Once an attacker uploads a code to a vulnerable, SQL database web server, what that web server does, that web server turns back to the SQL database and said, can you log these users as an administrator, please? But he does it in a way to trick him. And then he goes, okay, all right, I'll log him as. He's now logged in. How he did that? He did that by copying and pasting or typing code that tricked both the web server and the secured server that we have in the closet. A lot of injections still happening. Right, this is funny, but what you're looking at right there, all the way down there, where it said, there is a hack, right there. That's right there. Usually a SQL injection, SQL database works like this. If you want to log in, you must have a username, the right username, and the right password. The right username, and, look at the word, and the right password. Hackers figured out and said, the codes that hacker used if I have to translate them, they go something like this. When I use a single quote, means this server is vulnerable, and forget about the user. Anything. Username can be anything if you want, right? So don't look at it, anything. And then he said, and by the way, and the password, password has always to be true as a statement. And he goes from the username that I just faked, all right, they neglect, and the password, which is said N is important, they change it to or. Where the username is this or the password is this. And they go on the password that they give, it's 1 equal 1. What do we know about this? This statement is true all the time. 1 is always equal 1. A is always A. B is always B. So as a result, using this, they trick the server into logging them into the database, and even sometimes even as an administrator. I am going to do a demo and say that right there. So you see what they did? Instead of the end become or. It's almost you guys. What's a good way to say? Let somebody access his or her withdraw money from an ATM machine when he has an ATM machine card, or when he can say Joe 100 times. Hey, just a joke. I'm just joking. Joe 100 times. The guy said that this is what. So the ATM machine waiting for someone to come and say Joe 100 times. Then he's card swiping the card. But the code was changed. Let somebody to log in if he can say Joe 100 times or has an ATM card. He does not have the ATM card. He can say Joe as many times as you want. He goes say Joe and he's in. That's it. All right. All right. Moving on. Here is an example. All right, of database, how database work. This is SQL injection statement that are out there, right? That are known and out there. You go right now to Google and you Google SQL injection cheat sheet, and you're gonna come with sheets. They copy and paste, and then only make they do. They can copy and paste till they find one that is vulnerable. Now I repeat, SQL injection and cross-site scripting only work when a server is vulnerable. And how to find out a server is vulnerable to SQL injection? They have scanning tools that direct them to a server and scan. And once he scans you and find out that you're vulnerable, therefore he's going to go. Burp Suite can do both. Can scan, and once he scans vulnerability, he can inject the attack right there. All right? All right, the director Traversal, I can give you an idea. You've been invited to your friend. There's a party going on. You're supposed to be where? You should go in the living room. That's what everybody's drinking happy. You're not supposed to go to his bedroom. If somebody goes to his bedroom, that's called Traversal. You can use a bathroom if you need. You've been drinking a lot, but you should not go. Definitely, that's not your place. If somebody goes to the bedroom, that's become Traversal. That's what the hacker do. They're supposed to access only one page or this pages. The rest of it of the network administrator. They figured out a way how to escape and move into other places that they're not supposed to access. All right. All right. Here's an example. You can see that's right there. If you ever built a web server, if you ever installed the IIS, this is an IIS. An IIS on Windows Server. As soon as you install the IIS, you'll have a directory called INAT public, and that INAT public will contain a folder known as www-root. Guess what? Anything that the user needs to access, usually right there, could be right there at www-root. All right, and then the root will contain other folder, the news, what do you call it, the videos, link, and all that. Now, Traversal is going backward till you get to the System32 or get to the Windows. And trust me, there are commands that you can copy and paste, and it does exactly that. If you do that, it'll open up command line, and it'll give you a root C. And you can do whatever you want from right there. That is called Traversal. So web application are server-side attacks, right? The next time we spent a great deal of time talking about how a client can attack. When I talk about cross-site scripting, SQL injections, Traversal, all this is the client attacking what we call the server. Now the question, can the server turns back and attack the client? You bet. There's so many types of attacks. And I must say, it is much easier for the server to attack, to attack the clients. Right? I'm going to talk about a couple. The most common attack out there today is right there. The first one, it's called drive-by download. Drive-by download is an attack based on something known as iframe. What's iframe? Once a hacker managed to hack a site, he creates what they call one pixel frame with the same background as what do you call it, as a website. So as a result, the end user would not see the frame. So what does it mean? When you establish connection with the website and you use your browser to convert those HTML code and Java code, right, and ActiveDirect's code, right, to make sense out of them, your browser makes sense out of them, and he's executing all those programs, he will also execute the iframe. The iframe happened to be a link to Trojans and viruses. I would think of it as there's an iframe right there, almost like it's equivalent to you, an icon that said viruses, adware, spyware, and you double click on them. That's what the download is. Now, what the user have to do to get infected by using what they call drive-by download? You don't have to do anything. Just go to a site. That's why I don't want you to blame anybody anymore because their computer are being infected. They don't have to go to no bad site anymore. Just go to a site that is vulnerable and has been infected. You are already what do you call it? There is a demo. I'm going to show you. There's a video. I'm going to show you something that did what do you call it? That did kind of demo. HTTP header. It's where the attacker now, as you know, if you ever studied HTTP, you know that HTTP as a protocol has no security in its mind. It is quite possible for somebody to inject extra code in the HTTP that your browser about to execute. For instance, you are downloading something, somebody can stop the download, inject code, and let you get it. And once your browser again execute the code, whatever was injected will be in your machines. All right? That's why a lot of times, to avoid this, this is going to, you find it very hard, don't you ever download anything from any site that you don't trust. That is one thing. Second, when you download something, only download from a site that give you a hash or the digital signature of the program that you download in. What I mean by digital hash? Digital hash, it's a value side by side with whatever you need to download that once you download the program, you recalculate the signature using hash programs such as mp4. And once you recalculate the signature, you look at whatever the site has. The site may have something A, 0, B, C, A, F, blah, 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 blah. It should be, you have to, before you even open what you downloaded, it should be exactly the same thing. If it is not, do not install the program. That means somebody played with it, somebody injected what they call injected something. And there's so many ways, so many techniques that can be done. HTTP as it is has absolutely no security in mind. That's why sometimes when you're trying to access a server that requires security, right? When you try to that has sensitive data, they automatically redirect you to what? What's that site? HTTPS. Because HTTPS does add a layer of security. That security usually it's digital certificate that will have both signature and also encryptions. That's why we go to bank, they don't use HTTP. You go to HTTP, but as soon as you log in, you're automatically redirected to what we call it. All right. All right, some of the attacks and out there and the changes that they can do, that hackers can do to control and change what they call to control webs. Again, this is HTTP. It is possible HTTP headers manipulation is not an attack, but rather a vehicle through which other attacks like cross-site scripting can. So the cross-site scripting, the SQL injections, what they do, they attack weaknesses in HTTP. Right, weakness in HTTP, and that's the hackers able to access things that you're not supposed to access. There are many programs out there that do that. All right. Next thing that you are very, very familiar with, right? Because you do cookies. Servers always use cookies. Servers always use cookies. The cookies by default are not bad, right? But they can they can be used for what you call for bad reasons. For instance, cookies are another program that once you log into a site, it will automatically be installed on your computer. And it depending on the type of the cookies, some cookies are known as magic cookies. Magic cookies is used for authentication. I'm going to ask you this question and think about it. Think about it for a second. Have it ever happened to you? You log into the site, whatever that site is, then you close, you X out of it. And before you log in, it asks for your username and password. And you X out of it. You go back to it, it does not ask you for username and passwords. It happens, right? You know why? All right? It's by design. A programmer, they don't want to keep asking the user, the customer, every now and then, what's your username? What's your password? What's your username? What's your password? They are afraid they may ignore that user. So they ask you once for username and your password, and once you do that, a cookie session, or as a magic cookie, will be downloaded to your computer, and every time your computer tries to access your computer using your browser, try to log in on service, say, do you see my magic cookie? Here's my magic cookie. Let me in, please. And you would end without really putting a username and a password. Well, question to you: what happened if somebody figured out a way how to take your magic cookie, then they become you? Right. Repeat. Cookies by default are not designed to harm any system or harm anybody, but they can be used for malicious use if you want. You can control your cookies and how you want your cookies in your browsers. You can use your browser to control it. You can even block cookies if you want. Right? However, there are certain sites that will not allow you to access if you don't enable what you call. So in Europe, it's the rule. The law tells them you need to notify the users before you put cookies in their computers. In the US, it's not. That's why at any time you are surfing a site and then there's this pop-up asking you, our website wants your permission to use a cookie. Click here if you accept. Click no if you don't. Right? Only in Europe. In the US, no. You already got it. All right. So here's a cookie that shouldn't scare you. Even a cookie monster shouldn't scare you. Is a first-party cookies. Anytime you go to the I Know Academy, you get them all the time. They go. They're not. They don't harm you. They're not there to harm you to do anything. The third-party cookies, however, should scare you because they put there. Right? They put by spywares and adwares to collect information about your internet habits. So this should scare you. The other one that you should be careful of, it's the session cookies that are usually stored in RAM. If somebody figured out a way how to take it, they'll be able to log in as you. Now, my challenge to you, you ready? Ready? My challenge to you. I know if I ask you, you guys know if any program then delete cookies, they're in abundance. You can use your browser. You can use a third-party software that do that. There's so many add-ons to do that. But what I want to challenge you is, can you figure out a way how to delete persistent cookies that goes into your hard drives and stay right there? All right, so figure out how can you get rid of persistent cookies. Not now. You do it in your time. You figure it out. Come back to me. I'll be more than happy to give an extra credit to anybody that figured out how. Here's another thing should scare you: flash cookies. Flash cookies are also dangerous and should scare you. Anytime you say anything, when you go to a site they use flash, they download their cookies. And I know they can be controlled, right? And I show you because Kali has a program that can play with flash. Play with flash, and when you download it, they can. Have you get this? If not, then flash need update, install flash, install this, install that. That is exactly how they do it. That's exactly how they do it. All right. All right, cookies. What cookies are? Cookies have security and privacy risk. All right, and you can use your browser to really control that. We'll talk about first-party cookie, not to scare you. You need to be careful with the third-party cookies. When multiple websites are serviced by a single marketing organization, you're going to see cookies from everywhere. Everybody wants your cookie. Everybody wants cookie. Everybody wants to put cookies. Everyone wants to steal everybody's cookie. As a matter of fact, there's a tiny program. I'm not sure if you know it. It's an add-on to Firefox and Google Chrome. The old name used to be. The name has changed. The old name used collusion.
You ever heard about it? Okay, we will install and play with it. Collusion shows you as soon as you connect to a certain website who is interested, who is getting what, who is selling what, who is doing what, and you're recall in that moment that you're really connected. Right? I am going to show you. Just remind me. Is known as collusions. Right? Needs to tell you attachment. You download an attachment, you open an attachment, you look for deep trouble like we did in the last one. Any website that has